Good morning and good afternoon to you. I'm Wish TV's David Williams in Seymour, Indiana. We're about to talk to State Rep Jim Lucas about recreational marijuana in Indiana. You might remember on Election Day, on Tuesday, voters in Michigan voted to legalize recreational marijuana statewide. Illinois' new governor said he wants to push that through soon in that state. And you'll remember Canada a few weeks ago, they legalized recreational marijuana nationwide in Canada. So we're talking with State Rep Jim Lucas about the possibility of recreational marijuana being legal in Indiana. I want to know what you think. Join the conversation right now. And also, like my Wish TV Facebook page, please. It's David Williams Wish TV. I'm trying to bump up my likes to over 2,000, so I need your help to do that. Go ahead and like David Williams Wish TV. I can't get there without you, so please like this page so we can get over 2,000. So, right now, here is State Rep Jim Lucas, and he has been a very big proponent of medical and recreational marijuana in Indiana. So, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, anytime.
So, first off, your thoughts on Michigan voters legalizing marijuana statewide, voting to on Election Day. Your thoughts on that?
What's what the people want? I mean, obviously, it was on the ballot. They collected enough signatures to get it on the ballot. Then they overwhelmingly voted it in. So now Michigan is going to enjoy some freedoms that Indiana currently can't.
And Illinois, their new governor said he wants to get recreational marijuana legalized pretty quickly.
Yes. This is something we're seeing play out across the country. Currently there are 32 states that have the medical cannabis. Mm-hmm. We're not hearing the horror stories and the fear-mongering, come to fruition that we're hearing from groups like IPAC and other state leaders. It's simply not there. Now, not to say it can't be abused, because certainly we know it can. But when it comes to responsible adults being able to enjoy it in a responsible manner, mm-hmm. there's really no reason to not allow this.
And we also know that Kentucky, they are growing industrial hemp. So almost all of our surrounding neighbors or surrounding states are doing something with marijuana cannabis. Do you think it's a matter of time before Indiana joins the ranks and does something with recreational, talking about today?
Absolutely. I mean, we're an island of irrationality surrounded by rational states. When you look at Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, they all have medical cannabis. Again, as you just mentioned, Michigan went full-blown rec. Illinois is getting ready to, but Illinois recently expanded their medical cannabis program. Mm-hmm. Kentucky is just hitting it out of the ballpark with hemp. Exponentially each year they keep increasing their acreage, and they are quickly becoming a leader in industrial hemp and hemp byproducts. And this is something Indiana could very easily do. Indiana is the #1 manufacturing state in the nation. Mm-hmm. We have incredible, agricultural history. We can grow pretty much anything we put our mind to. But on top of that, we have Purdue University, which is one of the leading technology and agricultural universities on the planet. So, if leadership wants to grab those three things and put them together, which would be very easy to do, by the way, Indiana could be a leader in the nation on hemp and industrial hemp products.
And you were telling me you met with the Governor Eric Holcomb this morning.
Yes.
And you talked about recreational marijuana. What did Governor Holcomb say to you about recreational marijuana in Indiana?
He was very polite. Governor Holcomb's a very smart man. He likes to take his time on things and get as much information as he can, from all sides. And I think he is doing that right now, digesting it, because he knows this will be an issue next session. I'm going to bring it up, and not just bring it up, but I'm going to be a staunch advocate and push as hard as I can, to bring as much positive attention to it. And we're also going to deal with, the negative aspects of it as well. I want to keep everybody, we have to be intellectually honest about mm-hmm. this. But doing that, once we show the negatives of it, mm-hmm. We're also going to show that the positives far outweigh the negatives, and this is something that's right for Indiana.
You're bringing legislation to lawmakers this session. You said you're going to start with, in terms of recreational, you're starting with what kind of bill?
Baby steps. I want to decriminalize personal use. Small amount, 30 grams or less. And just go in as least as possible, because as much as we want to get this, the political reality is that we're living in a state that just adopted Sunday alcohol sales. And Indiana is generally, years behind everybody else when it comes to issues like this. But I think, I know we have a very fast learning curve, and we have a lot of intelligent people up there, and they see the writing on the wall. So now it's not a question of if, but when we can bring it to Indiana, but control it in a manner that's responsible and the least disruptive as possible. And I think a good start would be to, again, decriminalize a small amount of personal use. One that will recognize the obvious. I mean, people are using this. To think they're not is being intellectually dishonest. But it also, I think, will give us a great tool to deal with the labor shortage that we're seeing. A lot of people simply can't pass a drug test right now because of THC in their system. Well, THC can stay in your system for up to 30 days. Just because you get popped on a urine test doesn't mean you have THC. You're impaired. You might have done it in the past. Okay, big deal. So people went out and enjoyed something that's much safer than alcohol, which we encourage. Indiana is encouraging alcohol growth with our brew pubs, our micro distilleries, our farm wineries, but we're encouraging that in a responsible manner. We're a good enough state with intelligent enough people leading the state that we can bring in cannabis and use it responsibly as well.
There are people who disagree with you. The Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys Council, they say they are against recreational marijuana, and they are not in favor of medical marijuana. They want to see what the FDA does and have all that testing first. Talk to that and people who staunchly disagree with you and feel like recreational marijuana has no place in our state.
I vehemently disagree. Again, we're talking about responsible adults enjoying a product that you cannot overdose from. Indiana is in the midst of an opioid epidemic. I'm hearing our numbers are worse than what they were last year, and over 1,800 Hoosiers died from an overdose. And of the states, now 32 states that have medical cannabis, we're seeing an average 25% decrease in opioid deaths. Okay, that right there alone should be reason enough to bring medical cannabis to Indiana. Not to mention the countless benefits that it brings, better quality of life, significantly less side effects than many of the prescription medications that we're using now. So the facts are out there, and they can disagree all they want, but I consider it fear-mongering.
Yeah.
They call it a gateway drug. Well, it's illegal right now. If marijuana is truly the gateway drug, why are we having all these issues with prescription medication, heroin, other drugs like that? The benefits, again, far outweigh the negatives. And I want to point out the facts. 32 other states have medical cannabis, and not one state has rescinded it. And again, if everything they're saying is true, why aren't states backing away from it? They're expanding it. Not only are they expanding their medical cannabis programs, they're going into recreational. So again, nothing supports their stance.
We've got a little more than 80 people watching. Thank you guys for watching. If you're just joining us, we're talking with State Rep Jim Lucas about recreational marijuana. And it's poignant now because Michigan voters just decided on election day to legalize it statewide. Illinois' new governor says he wants to bring it into the state soon. We've got Canada. A few weeks ago, Parliament decided to legalize it nationwide in Canada. And in terms of medical, you've got Missouri, you have Utah. They have decided to legalize medical marijuana. But today we're talking about recreational. So I want to know, what questions do you have? We're talking live with State Rep Jim Lucas. He's right here. So please, give us some of your questions to ask him live. I want to continue.
Fire away.
So bring on the questions, please. You are Republican.
Yes.
Gun-toting, red-blooded Republican.
Yes.
People in Indiana might not expect you to be so passionate and fervent about cannabis and marijuana, recreational and medical. Tell me about that and when your mind changed.
Oh, great point. It's not a Republican thing. I'm a constitutionalist. Party, they're just a label. They're just another label. But Constitution, it based on individual freedom and rights, protecting those rights. And as responsible adults, we have the right, to do this as long as our rights don't interfere with the rights of others. And that's, we want to hold people accountable and responsible for their actions. A lot of people they're overlooking that very important part of this is the people that do abuse it, let's hold them accountable for their actions. But let's not use that to prohibit responsible people from enjoying their lives.
Are you planning on going to maybe Canada or Michigan or Colorado in the coming days before session to do more research?
Well, Michigan's too soon. I don't think that they're not going to have anything implemented other than the decriminalization of possession, maybe. So not a big step there just yet. Colorado is just a wealth of information. Go out there, the good and the bad. I want to educate myself on all issues of this. But there are a lot of great people out in Colorado that have incredible experience in dealing with this, particularly in legislation. And that's one of the beautiful things about being in the position that we're in, David, is of the 32 states that have medical and other states that have recreational, we can draw best practices from them.
Kyle Owens just asked, where would you propose the tax revenue to go?
That's something that will obviously be discussed, but anytime there's a tax, that means that's more money you're taking out of the pockets of the individual. Is it Pennsylvania? They recently enacted, on their cannabis, I believe their license are $10 million. So what you've done there is you basically eliminated a big part of your people that can get into the industry. You've limited just your big players. And also they have to recover that $10 million. Well, that's going to make the price of the product go up. Same with taxes. The higher taxes you get, the more unaffordable you make it for, the people that need this as a medicine or the people that want to enjoy it as a recreational. So there's a fine balance there. But obviously, schools, that's always a big one. We just handled the roads issue. Indiana with a recently enacted a fuel tax increase, which I voted for, and that's what I was with Governor Holcomb today. We were handing out about $100 million to local communities, of this money we're getting back from that tax increase. And local communities are going to start seeing the benefits of that right away, and they're see even more and more of that. So I would probably be leery about putting, that tax into roads when I think we've already handled that adequately. So we'll look at, education or I would like to see more rehab, help people that have problems, put it into treatment and get away from incarcerating good people and let's help them.
Lee Hawker Smith asks, so how long will this take to get done?
We're in Indiana, it could be this year, it could be 10 years from now. But that's not going to be for lack of trying on myself and a lot of other good people.
Joseph C. Smith asks, can we grow our own, or would we have to only be by government or locally owned shops?
My legislation last year, that's a neat thing too, from best practices from other states. I read a lot of legislation from other states, and the sweet spot seemed to be 6 plants. Okay, with 3 of them being mature. But if you find a strain that works for you, helps you with anxiety or insomnia or, Crohn's or seizures, something like that, why can't you grow your own?
Looking for more questions. Let's see. Tiffany Marie said, adequately, have you seen the potholes?
We're working on that. It takes time.
Let's see. Any other questions? Keep the questions coming, please. We've got about 80 people watching, 80 just now that are watching. Talk
Good.
Directly to them about recreational marijuana and if it could even come to Indiana.
Keep in mind, we're in Indiana, so the people that are demanding recreational right now, that's probably not going to happen. But, the door's open. We're seeing other states adopt it. As David said earlier, Canada as a nation just to our north, they took on full-blown rec. Michigan has their neighbors to the north. Illinois, they're looking to get it. And with the governor pushing for it, chances are they're going to get it very soon. I believe the Mexican Supreme Court just ruled that it's unconstitutional, cannabis prohibition is. So look for them as a country to enact recreational cannabis. So it's just a matter of time. And I know patience is something everybody is in the instant gratification, but this is something we're working on, and I'm not going to give up.
Dietrich Smith just asked, if medical cannabis is coming up in this session and passed, when can a bill for recreational marijuana be expected?
Again, we're in Indiana. I can't make that prediction other than the fact there are people out there like myself that will continue to push for this. And each day that goes by, more and more people become educated. They realize that the horror stories and the fear-mongering simply aren't up to the level that we're hearing right now. So we will get there eventually.
About 90 people watching now. Carl Eckhart has another question along those lines.
Sure.
He says, what's the holdup? What needs to be done to make this happen?
This is something that's relatively new. I mean, I know people have discussed it, but it's now out in the open, more so than what it has been. But I know Senator Karen Tallian, she's been pushing for it for years, and then Representative Sue Arrington has been pushing for it on the House side. But, this is something that hasn't become mainstream until recently. And now it is. It's people are digesting it at their pace, and it's becoming more and more tolerant, and it's going to take time. I have to stress that.
Dietrich, you're very welcome. I'm moving on to another question, but you're welcome. Brooklyn Young, she asks, what can we as civilians do to push this along?
Contact your lawmakers, your elected officials, and let them know your support of it. Educate yourselves. That's probably the biggest benefit that people can do to help get this passed is, one, educate yourself on the facts and be intellectually honest about it. There are drawbacks to it. We can't say that this is the end all be all, magic wand for everything. It's not. But as far as medical side, it does provide incredible, countless benefits to people. It's another tool in the toolbox. On the recreational side, it's considerably safer than alcohol. There are, tax revenues to be made from this, as much as I hate to say that, but that's going to be a part of the discussion as we move along. But it's something that is coming. When we see surrounding states move at the speed they're moving, I think that will accelerate Indiana's acceptance of it. So that's a good thing.
I've got two more questions. One from Matthew Pickett. He asks, what kind of obstacle do you see Eli Lilly as for this?
Who knows? The grandson of Eli Lilly did his doctoral thesis on cannabis back in, I believe, 1907. So they were an early leader in cannabis, when it was not illegal. So Eli Lilly, I think they have an opportunity here to take advantage with their resources and their talent and their depth of knowledge on drugs and medicine and how they interact with the human body. They could be a leader on this.
Colette Kester Bowering. I'm sorry, Colette, if I'm not saying your name correctly. I am sorry. Colette Kester Bowering says, could the president end the prohibition?
Sure. And that's exciting right now with Attorney General Jeff Sessions stepping down. I know he was a staunch opponent of cannabis in any form. Once we can get the feds on board, then I think the beauty that we're going to see there, we're going to see the 50 states do their own thing. Some states are going to do things not as well as other states, but the states that are doing it very, very well, they will be out there, and those will be states that we can learn from. So the next few days are going to be interesting, and I do know that former House Speaker John Boehner is aboard. He's pushing the cannabis issue. That is huge. Whether you agree or disagree with his politics, to have somebody in his position get on board this issue that's a huge plus for us.
I've got one more.
Sure.
From Lorraine Stenbaugh. Lorraine, thank you for asking your questions. She says she has cancer. And thank you so much. I hope you're feeling well, and I hope you are getting better and that cancer is leaving your body. I really hope that. She asks, I have cancer. I would like to use medical for pain versus all the stupid pills. I can't because of fear of losing insurance benefits.
That right there. I mean, that's what we talked about, saving lives earlier. And to me, it's unconscionable that as a lawmaker that I'm part of a process that criminalizes somebody like that. And that's what I'm working very, very hard to turn around, because that's unconscionable, it's immoral, and that's just wrong. When people out there, good people that could benefit from, again, the countless wonders of cannabis, and we just heard from Lorraine right there. So good luck, Godspeed, and I hope you get better.
Winding down now, we've got about 82 people watching. Anything else you want to say about recreational or even medical marijuana in Indiana and your push for it?
It's coming. I'm not going to give up. Be patient. Let's be respectful in our conversations moving forward. This is something I know a lot of people get very passionate about, but let's keep our heads cool and calm moving forward. And truth, facts, reason, and logic are how we're going to win this war.
I've got two more. They keep coming, the questions. Keaton Arthur Middleton asks, what kind of effect will this have on employment, especially in reference to drug testing?
Well, again, I mean, if government can get out of the way, there would be no reason. If we can decriminalize this, there would be no reason for employers to keep THC in their test, unless they wanted to. Of course, that's their right as employers. But it also, they will be competing against employers that drop it from their drug tests. So now that's where your market forces come into play, which is a beautiful thing.
Okay, and really quickly, Harry Buick, could you clarify your question? You asked when he would introduce the bill to legalize. Are you talking recreational cannabis use or medical? Just for that quick clarification so I can ask him, Harry Buick. Waiting for him.
Medical's coming this year. I mean, I'm revamping House Bill 1106, what we did last year, which was a very good bill. We're going to tweak it and make it even better. I will resubmit that, but as far as the recreational side, I'm looking at decriminalizing just small personal use, probably 30 grams or less, which will not only, I mean, that will take that off the books. That will free up our officers and court system, to deal with more serious offenses, but it'll also give some latitude to employers to take THC from their drug test.
And one more question. Amanda Smith, she asked, what will happen to current individuals incarcerated for it?
I'd love to see expungement. Any bill that I have, once we get up to speed on the recreational side, I want to include expungement on that because, again, I don't think it's a crime. Anything that people did to enjoy themselves off of a plant, the cannabis, that's something I'm going to push for.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
State Rep Jim Lucas, we've been talking for the last 20 minutes about recreational marijuana in Indiana. He is pushing for it. He has been for a number of years, actually. How many years?
Two. Actually, I got into this hard and fast from the CBD fast.
Okay.
So, but I'm committed.
So a couple years, 2 years, he's a Republican in the House pushing for it. He's introducing legislation this coming session for medical and decriminalizing possession of marijuana. He's going to try that, and he's hoping for support. And he said you anticipate bipartisan support, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And he's pushing really hard for that. And by the way, please like my David Williams Wish TV Facebook page right up there. I'm trying to get over 2,000 likes, but I need your help. So I will have this story for you tonight starting at 5 o'clock on Wish TV. And you'll also be able to watch it statewide on our sister stations, News Channel 15 in Fort Wayne, Eyewitness News in Evansville, and you'll also see it in Terre Haute on Channel 2 there, as well as Wish TV in Indianapolis. So I hope you have a good day, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.